Welcome to today's edition of Conversation with Tadaba FM. My name is Major Daniels, and I've been joined this afternoon by the Honourable Member, the lawmaker representing Akoko Northeast, Akoko Northwest. That is Honourable Olubunmi Olatunji-Ojo. Is also the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on NDDC. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you very much.
Let's begin this way. The constituency you come from, that you represent presently, it appears that getting a second term ticket is a difficult thing there. But you pulled that off. How did you do that?
Well, first of all, I have to thank God for that, and I also thank our leaders and thank all the stakeholders within the APC and beyond for the confidence they reposed in us. I think it's a testimony to what we've been doing, and it shows that the people appreciate our little efforts and they are at home and dry with our efforts towards turning around the fortunes of the constituency over the last 3.5 years.
Now, a lot of people say that, I've had a lot of endorsement. I've interacted with a lot of people who say that you've done well. Now, my question is, was that born out of the pre-knowledge that it was going to be difficult, that it is usually difficult to get a second time to get in your constituency, or out of a genuine desire to really touch the lives of the people?
Well, first of all, I will tell you, you can't give what you don't have. It's as simple as that. During the campaign, my campaign was in 2018, 2019, was hinged on only one point, which is effective representation, giving our people the best of representation that is there, as benchmarked against global best practices. So basically, it's about our feelings for the people, it's about our feelings for the constituency, it's about, like what I said, turning around the fortune of our constituency, and looking at our challenges. Before I became a member of the House of Reps, I brought a team of consultants together. They went through the nooks and crannies of the 23 wards. They went all through the 25, 26 communities that we have, and we did a SWOT analysis. What are the problems? What are the solutions? What are the threats to the opportunities that we have? Where do we really need to put our attention? So we came up with like a master plan for the development of the federal constituency. So my job basically is to move from office to office as a chief lobbyist of the constituency. So that's what I tell people. A rep member, a representative, or a senator is a lobbyist. You're not just voted for to go and speak English. Yes, you speak English. Yes, you raise motions, bills, lawmaking, but also you go the extra mile by going to offices and talking to people, networking, and trying to get projects and lobby for projects or opportunities that will better the lives of your people. So, but if you don't know what the problems are, in details, then you will have a problem, and you will, at the end of the day, you'll be putting a round peg in a square hole. So basically, maybe because of my background, don't forget that for more than 1.5 decades of my life, I was a consultant. I consulted for so many top agencies, from the World Bank to PTDF, NMP. I consulted for so many organizations in this country. So basically, I work with data. I work with empirical facts. So I took my time before the election to come up with the master plan. And I tell you, the master plan, I'm sure we even go beyond me, because the master plan is about 20, 30 years master plan that we have. So now we're in the phase of infrastructural development and human capacity building. From that area, then we'll go to an area of wealth creation, and industrialization. From that area, then we'll also go to areas of so many other areas. We have like a short-term, mid-term, and long-term, plan for our constituents. So these are the things that we're basically doing. So what people can see is the result of the effort, our sweat, our effort in private, and our labor in private is what people they are seeing the dividends in public, at this particular point in time. So for me, I've never applied for any job in my life without being prepared for the job. I applied for the job to be the representative of my people. And as I say, it's the biggest honor of my life. When hundreds of thousands of people decide to put their destiny, in your hands with the help of God, and decide that among us, just be our voice, be the voice of the voiceless. So with this mandate, it will be very silly, to say the least, if I get to office and the people trust me with the mandate I actually asked for, and I don't know what to do. I wasn't trained to be like that.
All right. Like you said, there are so many challenges facing the people, and it's not just in your constituency, it cut across the country. But when you talk to many lawmakers, from my experience, when you interact with many lawmakers, they tell you, though it is the truth anyway, it is not the job of a lawmaker to put in place projects and all of that. Their job is lawmaking. So my question, you've done a lot from empowerment for young people, road construction. You've done a lot in the health sector as well. And even for traditional rulers and security agencies, how were you able to pull all of this off, knowing that you're a lawmaker and not an executive?
Well, let me say this very clearly. The primary responsibility of a lawmaker is lawmaking. That's not negotiable and that's not debatable. But also, in any part of the world, lawmakers are not beasts.
Yes.
You can't shy away from that fact, because you not just make laws without lobbying for the basic things that will make the lives of the people better. So basically, it's about being diplomatic, it's about networking, and it's about understanding the needs of your people and creating a sustainable architecture that will enable you to meet their demands. Nigerians don't expect you to dip your hand in your pocket and build road, but they expect you to take the plight, because you are the gap. You're the one filling the gap. You are the bridge between them and the executive at the national level. So, if, for instance, I'll give you an example. In my place, there's a federal road from Ikare to Arigidi, Okiagbe, all the way to Omo. Fashola is not going to pass through that road maybe in 50 years. He needs somebody to bring his attention to that particular road. That is why you are the lawmaker. You have to be the voice of the people. If it's possible for over 200, 300, 400, 500,000 people in Akoko, Northeast, Northwest, to have that sort of audience, then there will be no need for representation. So the reason why we have representation is because you just have to take their plight as your plight and be able to create a channel, create a bridge between your people, which in these terms, we're talking about the needs of your people, to the people that can solve these problems. It's not that all these things can be, you can't solve all problems, but at least put in the effort. When you wake up every day, you should have it behind your mind, as a lawmaker, that you are the chief lobbyist for the constituency. It is your responsibility. And I'll give you an instance. When you look at most of the projects we've done, if I tell you agencies that God has used to help our people, you'll be shocked. For instance, and I will say this very clearly, the transformer that we gave 500 kV transformer in Ekon. 20? No, there's one in Ekon. Ekon is a community they were in darkness they were without electricity for more than 7-8 years. Today they have light. Same we gave to Ondo, all 500 kV transformer. This transformer did not come from NDDC, it came from Ministry of Agric. For example, the signposts are there, Ministry of Agric. Now, the transformer in NTA Road that you just said, go and look at this big signboard there. It came from Border Community Development Agency. Border Community is not under my jurisdiction, that's under the SGF. Ministry of Agric is under the Committee of Agriculture. If you look at the health, the mobile clinics, the one in Okoja, the one in Okiagbe, the 10 tricycle ambulances, the motorcycle that we give to the multi-million naira hospital equipment we get, came from Primary Healthcare Development Agency. That's Ministry of Health. So the ICT center in Aquograms came from Nigerian Communication Commission, NCC, that's Ministry of Communication. The school that we built in Okeagbe, 12 classrooms in Okeagbe High School, came from SDG. The 4 classrooms in Oyi came from Ministry of Works and Housing. The one that we built in Comprehensive in Ekare came from SDG. The one in Iboropa came from UBEC, Ministry of Education. I'm just giving you examples how we move from offices to offices, talking to people. So most people believe, oh, because it's in NDDC, that's all this. But I'm saying this, that most of these things are not even NDDC. We move because I understand that I know the number of schools. Right now, as I speak to you, work has started in about 3 schools. As I speak to you now, we have construction of 6 classrooms going on now as we speak in my mother's alma mater, AUD, in Ikare, AUD Secondary School, Grammar School in Okebe, in Ikare, AUD Okebe. We have 6 classrooms. That came from border community. We have 6 classrooms going on as I speak in Ajuta, in Obagi. It's from border community, not NDDC. We have, last year alone, we have 6 industrial boreholes, 10,000 liter capacity, solar powered industrial borehole in 6 different occasions last year. There's one in Okebe, in Ikare. There is one in Agboriki, in Ilepa, in Ikare. There's one in St. James's in Ube, Akoko. There is one in Ogbagi, Akoko. There is one in Ikaram, Akoko. There is one in Ajowa, Akoko. All these water projects came from NIBRE, that is Building Research Institute, under Ministry of Science and Tech. That did not come from NDDC or from Works. It came from another agency. As I speak now, we have about 30 solar-powered industrial boreholes, 10,000 liter capacity, 30, at least one across all the 23 wards, plus one additional in the big ward, because our wards are big, some are bigger than the others. And all these things now, they are not coming from NDDC, they are coming from Ministry of Science and Technology. So we have market renovation. You understand that we are starting now. That did not come from what they call NDC or whatever. So what I'm just trying to say is that when you look at all the programs that we've been able to do, that God has helped us to be able to do, you will see that, some Ministry of Health, some SGF, some Ministry of Education, some NDDC, some Ministry of Science and Tech, different areas, UBEC. This we try, because we have a master plan. And we have our we have a checklist, like, okay, on a quarterly basis, this is our work plan. We hope to be able to have attained this level, timelines. So it's not just that we know that, okay, we need some number of schools. We have a target, okay, year 1, year 2, year 3, this is the number. There are certain areas that, of course, we have not been able to meet up our timelines, because obviously we have to lobby for these things. It's not that I don't control any budget. I'm a salary earner, as I always tell people, which is a fact. I'm a salary earner, as I always say. So, but we've not been able to achieve everything, but at least our people can see the efforts, that we are making. And at this stage, I will tell you that out of 100 in our first 3 years, we have been able to achieve nothing less than 70-75%. And don't forget that COVID did not allow us to work for a whole year. So we lost a whole year to COVID. When I was campaigning, I never envisaged that it was going to be COVID. We didn't estimate that we're going to have international issues like Ukraine war, etc., that the standard of living will rise and so many other things we have. So a lot of things has happened, but even within the as tough as things are, we are still trying to meet up with the demands of our people. So for me, it's about knowing what you want to achieve for your people. Know the needs of your people. It will shock you, as I tell people, when people come to you to ask for votes, first of all, ask the person, what do you think is my problem? Most people contest elections, I'm sorry to say this, without even knowing the problems of the people. When you don't know a problem, how do you find a solution? So what I did with my team, even before the election, was to set up a team. We moved around everywhere. We interacted with obas, with royal fathers, we interacted with clerics, we interacted with market women, with artisans, with different people, even before the election. And we came up with, okay, let us know what the problems are. As I sit here and I can tell you the next 10 roads that I want us to do, like if I have my way now, that I can get done, but unfortunately, like what I said, I don't control a budget, but I can tell you, okay, water project, this is it. Electricity project, now we've given about 15 transformers, all 500 kVA transformers, in 3 years. We're doing 15 500 kVA transformers, and I can be counting the location. Now we've done about 6 industrial boreholes. Now by next week, now we're starting another 30, making 36 industrial boreholes. We have been able to renovate about 5 schools as I speak to you now, and you can see the ICT center we have built. You can see I can sit down to say, okay, in health sector, this is what we have done. Yet these are things we still want to do within the next one. And as I've always said, people should save politics, for electioneering process. For me, it's not about election. It's not about politics. I'm not going to be rep forever, but there will always be Akoko even long after I've gone. I might have gone, there will always be Akoko. So we must look at posterity rather than politics. I don't play politics. In my play, they will tell you, betway for everybody. Either I don't care about, but the most important thing is, once you are my constituent, I will do my best within my capacity to make sure that I do what God wants me, you understand, to do. From our KBACs, now we've been able to give them 2 buses, which is 2 buses for the royal fathers, as official buses for them, one for the northeast, one for northwest. That was facilitated through Border Community Development Agency once again. So from the Amotekun security sector, we gave about 4 patrol vehicles to all the 4 divisional police stations. The one in Ikare, the one in Okiagbe, the one in Ogbagi, the one in we gave them vehicles. We gave about 20 motorcycles to Amotekun, because when you know the topography of our place, we have a lot of hills and valleys. Then inside our bush, because we border Kogi, we border Edo. So those areas, so many of these interiors are not areas where vehicle can even enter. So we provided this, but we are doing all these things. So for me, it's about knowing the problem of your people. And I'll give you an instance. There was a time when we had an issue in Ikare. We had issue in the career, and I'm somebody that people know. I'm never scared of taking decisions, because once you know that what you're doing is right, just stick to it. Like what I say, leadership is not a popularity contest. You understand? If you know you want to be popular, like what Shetima said, go and start selling ice creams. You understand? It's not about popularity. It's about making people happy. It's about doing the things that people want. It's not about taking people to where they want to go. It's about taking people to where they ought to be. When we had issues in the car, so many people when they were, I think it was last year, when they had that crisis, that state government had to impose a curfew, and stuff like that. I took the initiative of calling all the obas together, all our royal fathers, northeast, northwest, everybody. We brought all of them under a roof, under the we brought Border Community Development Agency on board, brought the SGF people on board, and we brought everybody together to broker peace. And I tell you, since that time that we did that, when most politicians were running away, they don't want to, I don't want people to see my hand, I don't want them to know where I am. It's not about votes. You can only be a rep when there's a constituency. You can only be a king when there's a community. You can only be a governor when there's a state. You can only be a president when there's a country. So the fighting for the space is more important than any act of politics. We took that decision, and today all the obas came together. Every one of them, about 20, almost about 30 something of them came together. All of them, and they resolved among themselves. They locked their own, and still today there is peace. It tells you that yet some decisions might be tough to make because it might affect your political career anyhow. But don't be desperate for power. Do what is right and let history be kind to you.
All right, right, Honourable. The way you say it, you make it sound so simple. My question is this: like I said, the way that you explain everything, you make it sound so simple and look so easy. But what would you say? Why do you think some of your colleagues who get to the House of Representatives and those in the Senate will get here and say, oh, it's as though they forget that they are here to represent the people and they don't give back to their community? Why do you think, if you have been able to do it this way, if you have been able to pull this off, why have they not been able to do anything?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. And I have to say this very clearly, that we come from various areas in Nigeria, and we are, our needs, differ. And as far as I'm concerned, I always say this very clearly, and it's something that we politicians must always understand, especially we office holders, that we are tenants. The people of the constituency, the voters, are the landlords. Sometimes you might have your money and you decide to renew your rent. You want to renew your rent. The landlord is at liberty to say, I don't want, leave my house. That's the same way with elections, So we have to understand that politics is not about winning elections, and we must concentrate less in terms of winning elections and try to do what is good for the people. If you do what is right for the people, if they decide to vote for you, then good luck. And if they decide that they don't appreciate, then you move on with your life. After all, I've always been, and I've always believed that every politician must have a second address. I have mine. I'm a professional, I'm a consultant, I'm an IT expert, and so politics is a way of giving back to the society. Politics is a way of contributing more, to the development of your space, contributing more to the development of your people. So I know a lot of our colleagues are actually doing their best, and I can tell you that for free because I relate with them, I talk to them, I know they are putting in a lot of effort, and I think that we should continue to pray for them and for our people to be patient and understanding, and hopefully by the grace of God, the lines will fall in pleasant places.
Let me say amen to that. Now, there was a time that some group from Elijah accused you of diverting NDC project meant for Elijah to Akoko. How was that eventually resolved?
Well, it doesn't need to be resolved because you should not solve a problem that does not exist. For me, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life, and I'll tell you why. Because it shows lack of knowledge in budgetary processes. It shows lack of knowledge of corporate governance, and it shows lack of knowledge on due process matters. Number one, you don't divert projects. How do you divert projects? The budget is a law. If you want to tell me that this project has been diverted, you should be able to bring the project that was diverted. What is the budget line and whatever? And I will say this very clearly, that my people in Niger, a lot of them are wonderful people, and I appreciate working with them. I appreciate their patience. I appreciate their love, and I believe that NDDC is not just working in Akoko, it's working everywhere. We're doing our best, not just in Ondo State, but across the 9 states of the region. And I know that in Akure, a lot of roads that God has used NDDC to do, because some our intervention and some other key stakeholders. I know in Ore, there's some that has been done, even in Oka, in Akumba, in Oba, and so many other ways. So we've not diverted any project. It does not exist. And I don't think we should cry foul where none actually exists, because you can't divert projects. It's not just possible. I don't know how possible. Like I'm in government, and I don't know how that can be done, because how do you move project from one budget line to it doesn't work. And I've told our people is that there's an NDDC office in Elijah, precisely in Ibokoda. It will. There's freedom of information. There's Freedom of Information Act. All you need to do is write to them and get their budget. You understand, and look at the projects in Elijah. Then look at the projects in Akoko, and I will tell you the truth that nothing has been diverted. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that. And I can remember that through the last award that was the last procurement process, I can tell you that more than 60-70% of projects awarded in Ondo State went to Elijah Ondo, Federal Constituency. I can tell you that for sure. So, but like what I said, I've counted the things we have done now. It's not about NDDC. Apart from some roads that maybe NDDC had been able to intervene, even the longest route of road in our constituency was not done by NDDC. Was done by the Federal Ministry of Works. That's the road between Tokiagbe, Oyin to Omo, Ekiti. It's not NDDC. I've told you now in the area of electricity, all areas I've told you where some of these things do come from. So I just think that our people need to understand more and understand the principle of budgeting and understand the principle of due process and understand the principle of corporate governance, that some of these things are not doable. And before you come and accuse, it's just important that you have your facts, because a politician, when you accuse people wrongly, you are defaming the person. It's character assassination. So you should go to NDDC. It's in Igbokoda there. It's not that I'm saying you should go to Port Harcourt. Go to Igbokoda and just ask, just write. They will give you the budget. Okay, there is no project that they want to even initiate, that it is not NDDC office in Igbokoda that will do site handover. You understand? So they have record. Now go and look at the projects that have been, and you'll be able to have your facts and know that, okay, this thing was it diverted. For something to have been diverted, it means it was moved from its original state. That's the meaning of the word diversion. So you must not say, okay, well, this project was supposed to be here, now it has moved to this. Then maybe after that we can have a discussion. But as it is now, we don't have a discussion on this.
All right, let's talk about the NDDC probe, the first years. What inspired that probe? And then the second part of my question, why has that probe been abandoned?
Well, number one, you say what inspired the probe? Nothing inspires probe. Probe comes as a child of necessity.
Because before then, NDDC has never been probed.
Well, because before then, there was never a BTO in NDDC. It's about doing the right thing, and when you're not comfortable with what is happening, then the Legislative Privileges Act gives us that power. Even the Constitution gives us the power of oversight. And in oversighting, it's there in the Constitution. We have the power to invite anybody to ask questions on what we have powers to budget and appropriate for. So obviously it was tailored towards rejigging the NDDC and making it work better. And I think we've done our bit, and we want history to judge us, in whichever way. Then you spoke about why did we abandon the probe? The probe was never abandoned. We finished our work. We submitted our report. It was deliberate. I think I submitted the report in plenary. So as a committee, I've done my work, and I'm not known. If anybody that knows.
So what's the latest development on that now?
I don't think that's our problem anymore. We've submitted the report, and I think the report was actually was adopted, I think, and but the implementation of reports, it's not the responsibility of the legislature. We have to understand that this is democracy. There is division of power.
Was the report handed over to the executive?
Well, I'm not in a position to say that because I'm neither the clerk of the House of Rep. And
you're close to the speaker. Very close to the speaker, people say.
People say, I love your expression. People say,
are they lying?
I don't comment on rumors. I don't comment on rumors. But the fact is, the key thing is the things we wanted done from our report. I think a lot had been done. You understand? So it's not about, we're not being vindictive here, and sometimes we must draw the line between doing what is right and being vindictive. You must know there are two different things. Doing what is right. One, we spoke about the management, and at that time that there was mismanagement of resources, and the president has graciously excused those people, removed them from office, and as I speak, I know the forensic audit report, which we recommended, which we supported, because what people don't know is that at the time I came to, at the time I became chairman of the committee, the budget was brought, and the NDDC's budget 2019, yes, was brought, and there was no provision for forensic audit in the report. But it was my idea. It was me that budgeted the amount, and I sat down with the Honourable Minister then. I sat down with the Honourable Minister sat down with the MD and the key stakeholders and say, look, it's just important that we draw the line, and we move on. But in drawing the line, we must know areas where we have erred to be able to prefer solutions to our problems. Because like what I said, diagnosing an ailment is as important, it's even more important than finding a solution. Because if there's proper diagnosis, definitely you are most likely, you understand, to find solution rather than when somebody is just doing guesswork hypothesis. So we sat down, and the proposed budget did not have provision for forensic. It was the National Assembly relying on our powers under the Constitution that gives us the power of appropriation that provided fund up to the tune of 2.5 billion naira for the forensic audit of the NDDC. So when people talk about forensic audit, it was the baby of the National Assembly. It was us that said, look, let us do this thing. And today the report has been submitted, and I know they are presently working on the white paper, on that, and I know that contractors are being called, a lot of things, so many other things is happening. So you see, it's not until when government comes to the open and shout, thief, that government is working. No, great things are always done in silence, and a lot of work is going on, and I can tell you that by the time I pray that the white paper comes out, and I pray there is proper implementation, because we are not responsible for the implementation. By the time it's well implemented, you can be very, very sure, and you can be very, very certain that by the grace of God, a new NDDC will emerge. That's my prayer, and that's what I want my legacy to be.
At some point, you stepped down from the hearing. Yeah. You said you want a fair hearing for everybody. Yeah. And at some point, the former Minister of Niger Delta Affairs probably accused you of inserting 19 contract into their budget amounting to 9 billion naira. Why do you think he will make that accusation? Even though you deny that, you challenge him to provide evidence, but why do you think he will come up with that kind of accusation?
Well, he never accused me that I inserted anything in the budget. I put that I need to correct that. He never did. What he said, and I quote, is that the chairman of the committee were engaged in contract splitting of a job that was awarded about 19 lots or something, not in the budget, because that's number one. Then number two is instructive and very important for you to know that he denied on camera, and it's on record, that he wasn't referring to me, because as at the time these jobs were awarded February 2019. And by February 2019, I was not a member of the House of Rep, talk less of being chairman of the committee. So it can't be me, because I was not in NAS, I was not chairman as at the date of, and I think that it was mainly, and he said clearly that he didn't mean Honourable Olubunmi Olatunji-Ojo. He was talking about, and not me. He said that very clearly in front of camera. So, and I would not accuse him, because he absolved me of that accusation. So I would not say he said what he did not say. So for me, it's not about me. And he said I stepped down. You see, let me tell you, sometimes in life, my mother used to tell me that love honor more than anything in life, because the only currency that you as a politician, or as an individual, not even a politician, that you have in life, the only currency you have in this life is your reputation. So do everything humanly possible to protect it. And for me, when the accusation came, which was like to be able to say, okay, focus the attention, it's about pushing the accusation back to you. And I said, okay, if me being the chairman is your problem, why you think you can't present your case, I will recuse myself, so that you will say everything you want to say. You will feel free. You will not say, oh, we were intimidated by the chairman, or the chairman has something to hide. Let's assume that I had something to hide, I wouldn't have stepped down. I would have been, but in Nigeria, people find it difficult to excuse them. So it's not a big deal for me. Like what I said, I did not contest to be chairman's committee on NDDC. I contested to be the representative of my people. So for me, whatever other position that comes, it's a plus, it's a bonus, and it's for service to humanity. But what is what I applied to be, was to be the representatives of my people. And I can tell you that I'm glad that we have not failed our people. So stepping aside, it's not a big deal, so that at least let them say what they want. They came and you saw, even when I recused myself, you saw what happened, and I'm grateful to God that we were exonerated. And I say it till tomorrow, I don't have any job in NDDC. Anybody that knows me, my lifestyle is the easiest lifestyle. I eat once, maximum twice a day. That's maximum. And I live a very simple life, because for me, I believe that it's not about me, it's about the people. And we hope that in our quest to provide better representation for our people, we'll lay examples for leaders coming behind us.
Now, away from NDDC now, your party, the APC, came into power in 2015 at the national level with a lot of promise, fighting corruption, improving on the economy, and of course, security. For instance, let's talk about the 2023 budget proposal of over 19 trillion naira. And the Minister of Finance says that the budget has a deficit of over 12 trillion, between over 11 to 12 trillion, depending on whatever decision that the federal government takes on fuel subsidy. Now, what do you think the APC should have done, the APC-led federal government should have done, that it didn't do?
Well, thank you. First of all, let me correct an impression that APC has failed. APC has not failed. I am APC and I'm proud to be APC. I need to put that on record. And I know that no government in recent memory has been as good to our people in Akoko, Northeast and Northwest as APC. So to our people in Akoko, Northeast and Northwest, APC has done too well for us, and we're grateful to God for that. Then at the national level, you see, government is a going concern. When APC came on board in 2015, sorry. When APC came on board in 2015, nobody knew there was going to be recession across board. Don't forget that states at that time could not pay salaries. APC, federal government, had to loan states money to even pay salaries to sustain the labor market and everything. The APC had to do that. That was not envisaged. At the time, the price of crude in Niger came to as low as $20, even below $20 per barrel. That went on for how many years? Look, this is pure economics. You can't give what you don't have. When there is no money, what do? You don't go. It's difficult. Don't forget that. It's unfortunate that the administration came at the most difficult time economically in Nigeria, at the most difficult time economically in the world. Now see what is happening in Ukraine.
Honourable, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
A while ago, you were saying that before you contested as a member of the House of Representatives, you were well prepared, that you did your own work. You even put together a team to talk to your people, to know what their challenges are. The APC-led federal government that we have today, does it appear to you that it looks prepared before it came into power?
Yes, 100%. That's what I'm telling you. But you prepare, but you don't prepare for uncertainties. That's the fact. For instance, when you want to sleep, you cannot be sleeping every day and putting gun by your pillow expecting an armed robber. If an armed robber comes in, boom, at the middle of the night, what happens? So we were coming on board. Obviously, the economy of Nigeria, looking at the revenue flow, was there in terms of oil sector, in terms of non-oil sector. This was our revenue. Don't forget at the time we were drilling about 1.8, we lifted about 1.8 to 2 million barrels of crude per day. That was number one. Then immediately APC came on board. The price of crude went down, and the production, the production rate of even crude was more than the sale price. So at the end of the day, exploration companies were even shorting production. The country was losing revenue. This is an economy that should have diversified over the last 30, 40 years. You think diversification that didn't happen in 40 years will just happen in 3, 4, 5, 6 years? It takes time to do this. We saw what happened. People are very happy to associate with the success of China, but they forget the China in the late 80s and in the 90s, when China had to go through a moment like this for them to rediscover themselves and diversify their economy. People fail to understand that even Dubai, there was a time Dubai went down. Economically, Dubai had to even borrow money from Abu Dhabi for them to aid them in their diversification process from oil and gas into a retail-based economy. So we are going through hard time. Yes, I'm not denying that fact. Are things easy? No. Can it be better? Yes. Are we ready to make it better? Most definitely. And the key issue is this. You must understand that, look, as we go on to 2023, people should look not just about political party. People should look at, okay, what are the options in front of us? Here, when you're talking about security, don't forget that the battle we had by 2014, 2015 was a symmetric battle, which was a conventional battle of people taking territories. Now what we have now is asymmetric, which is more difficult. And when you look at all areas in the world, even Iraq, even in Lebanon, in Beirut, in Syria, it happens that when terrorists are being defeated, when enemies of the state are being defeated, the next phase of the action is to go asymmetric, mix into the communities and try to target soft targets, which is what is happening now. It shows that we are making progress. Have we gotten there? No. Can we get there? Most definitely, yes. And I tell you, may the day when Nigerians will no longer believe in Nigeria never come. Because the day you fail or you stop believing in your country, then you have no more reason of existing. Nigeria is making progress. Look at our domestic production. It's increasing. And when you talk about Nigeria, okay, if you say APC have not managed the economy better, are you telling me that the British Prime Minister or the British, they don't know how to manage the economy? Look at the standard of living now, even in UK. Look at the standard of how much is fuel in UK. Look at the standard of living, even in America. Look at the standard of living as I speak to you in Ghana. Look at the standard even in Sri Lanka that people had to even pursue the Prime Minister away from. So he's not Nigerian. You can only say, oh, Buhari he's not doing what he's supposed to do if it's an isolated case. Nigeria is isolated, it's only Nigeria. But this thing is a global phenomenon. It's just been unfortunate that there was global economic meltdown. From global economic meltdown, we went into COVID for 1 year. My brother, do you know what it takes? When you shut the economy of a country for 1 day, do you know how much you lose? Imagine shutting the economy of Nigeria for more than 6-7 months on COVID. The money we lost money, yet we were paying salaries. So you were paying salaries, you were doing infrastructure, you were building things, you were expanding when there was no income. Where will that money come from? You have to pay. It's a debt. So we are busy. It's a tough one. Now we finished from COVID, just as when we're kickstarting to be able to start all over again. The issue of Russia and Ukraine came again. So it is an issue. And don't forget, now we are lifting about 1.2 million barrels as against 2.2 million barrels. The problem Nigerians should be talking about now is when we were supposed to have money in our reserve, enough money to propel our diversification, what happened to those monies? If we had gotten 5 targets, we wouldn't have had reason to go and buy Tucano. So the problem is APC inherited so much problem. And trust me, it is easier to demolish a house than to rebuild it. The crisis that was on ground, pricking the brakes, block by block, re-erecting the structure, is not a tea party. So we are in a tough situation. But I can tell you with all indices, we are making progress. And over the last 1, 2, 3 months, you can see improvement in our security. At least I can tell you that you've not really had any major incident in the last couple. So we are a work in progress as a developing country. But we can't afford to throw the baby away with the bathwater. And it excites me that the candidate of APC is somebody who is grounded in economics, who is grounded in the principles of wealth creation, who is grounded in the principles of financial management. That's Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's a chartered accountant. He's a certified accountant. He's somebody who has his records are there when it comes to economic issues, when it comes to uniting the nation, when it comes to taking bold decisions on economy. His records are there. So we are moving. So the next phase of APC, which is a Tinubu presidency, by the grace of God.
Honourable, campaign has not started for the September 28th.
campaigning. It is just, you asked the question about my party. I can't talk about APC without talking about Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
But you are saying Tinubu presidency. We have not gotten there.
He is the candidate of the party. And by being the candidate of the party, it is not wrong to say, by the grace of God, his presidency is a matter of time.
But what would you say to an average Nigerian whose buying power has greatly diminished over time?
I told you now, I sympathize. I empathize. It has happened. I'm also feeling, we are all feeling it. But the simple truth is that it is not just Nigeria. My brother, you can't give what is not available. The economy all over the world is a global economic issue. The pandemic has affected everything. So it's a global thing. But the fact is that just like when there's any Great Depression, there must be recovery. And I'm telling you that APC is ready to lead that phase of economic recovery. And these are, if there's one lesson we have learned, look at how many, look at our local production now. If our needs, basic necessities, if there's a diversification in producing these things, would there be pressure on the naira? Everybody now, even ordinary toothpick you buy from abroad, it's like you want to buy milk, you look for abroad, and you say the naira should have value. This is law of demand and supply. When the demand for forex is more than the supply, when the demand is more than the supply, automatically the dollar will continue to rise. So, but APC is leading that. Now look at in rice production, look at cement production. You can see what Bua is doing. You can see what Dangote Cement is doing. Now with the refinery coming on board, which hopefully by end of this year should come on board. If that comes on board, that brings our our export on fuel subsidy, even fuel import rather, it brings it down drastically. If we continue to invest in critical sectors like that, believe me, in no time, Nigeria will become a developed state. And when you become a developed state, you'll be able to produce what you consume. And when you produce what you consume and beyond, then you'll be able to even export and earn some forex. Then your economy will grow. So Nigerians should look at, it's not just about purchasing. I sympathize. But the fact is that, tell me one great country economically that has not gone through what we are going through. It's a transitional process. It's like a woman in labor. You understand? Not like their labor, a woman in labor. You understand? You go through pain, but when you see, by the time you give birth and you look at the child, your heart will be filled with joy. We are in labor now in Nigeria, taking some tough economic decisions. But I can assure you, the indices are there. It's not as bad as people think the indices are. And moreover, Nigerians, so many people in Nigeria, they're always eager to hear bad news about Nigeria. Why? There should be something called the Nigerian spirit. There should be something called the Nigerian dream that we should all want to be part of. And I believe that we are perfectly in course. Yes, when these things happen, COVID, economic recession, war in Ukraine, that happen, yes, it naturally will destabilize your plans. But as a leader, what do? You re-strategize. And that's what I think we have been doing, to re-strategize. And hopefully, by the grace of God, 2023 and beyond, you understand, we will be able to lay bricks on the solid foundation that we are trying to put in place.
But what's your take on that kind of budget with that huge deficit? The minister even said that the country might have to set some critical asset to finance the 2023 budget.
Well, I can't comment on that now because the
budget is coming to you.
It's still a work in process. That's the essence. We are the representatives of the people. Let us see the budget. Let's see the details of the budget. There are two good heads are better than one. The ministry, they've done their own. The budget office, they've done their own. The legislature will sit down, will look at, way out and put our brains together. After all, it's one government. Either legislature, executive, or judiciary is still one government. We'll sit down. But what I can assure you is that we will, in this house, by the grace of God, take the best decision in the interest of the people with regards to the budget.
Let's talk about a bit about the ASU strike. What would be your advice to the federal government and then to ASU or to all stakeholders on how best to resolve this?
Well, I'll be very sincere with you. The issue of ASU the problem was not created by APC. Don't forget that it was PDP that entered into the agreement.
I'm not even talking political parties.
Hold on. You can't talk about a problem without talking about the cause, or else there will be no need for this discussion. Because knowing the cause of a problem is very key to finding a solution. Don't forget that PDP entered into this BRICS agreement or whatever.
The federal government.
Yes, it was a PDP-led federal government. And at that time, the decisions were made, agreements were reached based on the economic indices at that time, when crude was 180 something, 90 something, 100 and something dollars per barrel, when our population had not grown to this level, because now our population grows at about 3-4% per annum. Now, NYSC, now I think they do about 4-5 streams in a year now. That time they were doing maybe 2-3. So they need, government was not stretched at that time. But even them that did the agreement, could not fulfill the agreement. Now they're trying to come and be holier than thou. Like what I said, we didn't create the problem of this crisis, because I don't blame us as well, because if you, as a government, we must be sincere, and we don't promise. That's what my people can tell you in Akoko, Northeast and Northwest. I don't promise what I can do, because your word is your bond. The government went into an understanding, the PDP-led government. The
same federal government. Government is a continuum.
No.
Is government not a continuum?
Government is a continuum, but at the end of the day, does not mean you should have pit holes, dig holes for succeeding governments. PDP went into an agreement. They were unable to fulfill their obligation under the agreement and turned it into a legacy problem. You understand? That we now have inherited, and we are doing our best to find a solution. And don't forget, since 1999 to date, ASU, they've gone on strikes about 16 times. Me, personally, I could remember, I was in OAU in 99, 2000, and when there was a time we were at home for such a long time, and as I carry my bag, I walk out. What I'm trying to tell you is that even us that were in government today, we were all at one point or the other, not under APCO, under PDP, we were also victims of this ASU problem. But what I will say is that there should be room for negotiation. And when you are coming into negotiation, you cannot expect to have 100% of your demands. If it is about you getting everything you want, then that is blackmail. Then that is coercion. You understand that? If you don't give me 100%, no way. That is coercion. That's not more negotiation. The word negotiation means a little bit to the right, a little bit to... we should all know that these students are our children. You understand? We are all passionate about their development. So government will shift, ASU will shift, and I believe there will be a middle ground. After all, we are all critical stakeholders, both ASU, federal government, everybody, we are all critical stakeholders in the Nigerian project. And this cannot continue, honestly speaking. And I also appeal to ASU to be flexible and let the federal government also, try to bridge that gap, so that at the end of the day, let us come as a party, as a government, and say this is what we can do. To me, you can't put a knife, to my throat and tell me to promise you what I cannot do. I won't, because once I leave, you turn me to a liar, you turn me to a betrayer, you turn me to somebody, a dishonest person. I don't want that type of reputation. So, federal government, I will also advise that do your best, bend backwards as much as you can to accommodate this. To accommodate ASU, because this is about the future of Nigeria, the students. They are the future of this country. But nevertheless, only agree to what you know you will have the capacity to be able to do, so that we don't end up coming back to the same table after 6 months.
Now, talking about 2023 presidential elections, what is your advice to Nigerians on how to ask the right questions of candidates?
My advice is, don't let anybody deceive you. My brother, Nigerians, look at the antecedents of every candidate, not just party. Because some people now, because they know that most of our young voters now, first-time voters, in a lot of them were not even born in 2003. Some of them. There's a lot of deception, deceit, going up and down. Look at the antecedent. All the candidates, especially for presidency, especially because we're at a now or never moment. That's why it's called something Project Rebirth. There must be a rebirth. Nigeria there must be a new order. You understand? As much as you are not destroying the old system, but you must look at, okay, for example, the 3-4 candidates, major candidates. Permit me to say this, I'm not campaigning for anybody. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was a governor in Lagos. What was his antecedent? Ask yourself, do your research. Did he perform? Where was Lagos in 1999? Security-wise, economically, and infrastructurally. Where is Lagos now? Has he performed well? That is option one. Look at Atiku Abubakar, the candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, His Excellency, who was vice president. He was chairman of Economic Council, for like 8 years. Okay, our national assets, whatever, what was it like? Where are those companies now? Of what value to the Nigerian country, the Nigerian entity? That's true. Look at Peter Obi. He, as the Labour Party, he was Anambra governor, from 2006 to 2014. How did he meet Anambra? Where did Ngige leave Anambra? Where did Peter Obi leave it? Where is the level of Anambra today? Where is Anambra today? What is happening security-wise? What is happening economically? Okay, when people come, when somebody like him, for example, is talking on ASU, what did he do to the state university when they were on strike? What did Tinubu do when they were on strike? What did Atiku do when he was vice president and ASU was on strike? Look at all these indices. When they are talking about health, what is their legacy? Look at the track records. This election should be about track records. Kwakwanso was former minister. He was former governor for 8 years. Look at his answer. So what my advice to Nigerians will be that please don't let anybody bamboozle you. Look at the record of service of all the candidates. And when you now look at this record of service and look at the present situation in Nigeria, whose antecedent is better suited to solving the challenges of the moment, then you will know that the choice is clear. Since you said campaign has not started.
All right. Campaign is not starting until September 28th. On a final note, you became a CEO at less than 25.
Yeah.
What is your advice to young people on how to get it right?
Well, I became a CEO, yes, at 24, and it's about being focused. You must know what you want in life. You must be determined, and you must be focused. You must understand that everybody want to be part of your game. Nobody want to know your pain. So just know, like my mother used to tell me, you are responsible for whatever you do. And most of the decisions you take in life is like crossing the legendary Rubicon. When you cross, you might not have the option of going back. So think well before you take decisions and understand that that thing you want to enjoy tomorrow, there will always be tomorrow. Because for every today, there must be a tomorrow. So take your time, set up your plans, and give targets to yourself. And behold, there's no limit to what you can achieve.
All right, thank you very much, Honourable Olatunji-Ojo, the lawmaker representing Akoko Northeast, Akoko Northwest. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for coming on Conversation with Adaba FM.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for the opportunity. And funny enough, it's my first interview ever in any station in Ondo State. So, as a sitting member of the House of Representatives in Cuba, it's my first interview, and I thank you for the opportunity. God bless you.
All right, this is where we ended today on this program, Conversation with Adaba FM. My name is Dimeji Daniels. Thank you for listening.
Number one, Oba Hadeshida, Maketi no fee.
wọ́n níyàn ju ẹ̀ òní díẹ̀ ni Àjàbá 88.9 FM bàbá wọn.
For the current news, entertainment programs.